Okay. Hi, Akil. Welcome to Hindsight, co-host of mine.
Hi, hi, Jen. Are people not going to know that we are recording these back to back as we're wearing the same outfits as last week?
Are you asking that question because I asked that question the first time we recorded back to back?
I don't know. I'm asking that question because my memory's not that good to remember the first time.
Because you kind of made fun of me for asking. Hi, Hindsight audience. We are Akil Sanders and Dr. Jen Sarrett. We're two people who want to help our communities understand where we are culturally and socially by understanding history, particularly histories that have been lost or whitewashed or changed to serve a particular narrative that does not serve everyone well.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we're here regularly, we'll say, posting regularly, which you can interpret however you want.
Regular. I can't even say regularly right now.
And yeah, so Akil, how is life?
Life is good.
Yeah.
I'm doing very well. I'm in recovery from total hip replacement. Having a hip replacement in January after the holidays.
Excellent.
So I'm getting my body right, getting my mind right, because convalescent leave allows me to really be able to focus on some different things
Yeah.
and really rest and recuperate.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So right now I have, obviously outside of current events and the nonsense that goes on with our country, I'm doing pretty well, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in my household, Chris and I are both working as independent contractors, let's say, otherwise known as unemployed.
Yeah.
I have a client right now, which is really fortunate. I'm about to land another one, which is really great. But Chris and I are both applying for jobs left and right because we need healthcare, quite frankly. We already have
Yeah.
healthcare, but like the cost is prohibitive.
Yeah.
But that's happening and that is stressful, but we recognize that we have the privilege of love and support in our family and our friends and our community, and our kids are great. And so we are staving off panic and depression for the moment.
Yeah, you got this. You got this. I know.
So yeah, so that's where we're at. But we are also at November 17th, which is a week and a half away from
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today.
Oh, okay.
Thanksgiving. Not the
Awesome.
topic I told you I was going to do.
No, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. And I actually just met up with a friend of mine who is a third grade teacher up in Beaufort, Georgia, and told her I was going to do this. And she was telling me some of the things. She was saying that their curriculum for Thanksgiving is so much better now than it was when we were kids. So some of the things she told me that they teach were definitely things that I didn't know until I did research for this episode. So I'm really excited to hear that things have been improving. Um, and hopefully that'll just, keep going.
Isn't it all about cornucopias and
It's all about cornucopias and funny buckle hats and
funny about the shoes and the exchange of love between two communities?
yeah, really. It's set up a long lasting beneficial relationship for both sides.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So let's start with Columbus, shall we?
Do we have to?
Yeah, we do, because we're going to talk shit about him, quite frankly.
Oh, Cristobal.
Oh, Chris.
Oh,
Christopher Columbus did not found the Americas. We obviously know he didn't found them because there was lots and lots of indigenous tribes here and communities and cultures, but he also wasn't the first white person.
I mean, from my knowledge, I don't even know if he ever made it here.
Well, he didn't. That also. But 500 years before Columbus set off in his historic voyage, Leif Erikson, a Viking explorer, arrived in Newfoundland. So, um, it wasn't as epoch making as we have come to understand it or frame it. So, and he, like you said, he never actually got to the like where the United States is now. He found the Caribbean and until
Mhm.
the day he died thought he was in India.
Well, yeah, that's a weird thing. That's why I don't call Native Americans Indians to this day, because I like we often talk about
Yeah. I don't
language,
call them Native Americans because it wasn't America.
or well, yeah, just indigenous people.
Or yeah,
Not American.
Turtle Islanders. Um, so, he came back and forth a few times, just, he
One thing interesting about Christopher Columbus is he was Italian, correct?
he was Italian, but nobody would fund his mission until
So
he
that's why he went to the Portuguese, right?
Spain. Spaniards,
Spaniards.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Queen
They were
Isabella.
known to be very nasty in their
Yeah.
conquest.
And he set out saying he was gonna find all this gold and stuff, which he didn't find, and so instead, he brought Queen Isabella 500 enslaved indigenous people,
Mm.
and, she was really pissed off about it because she considered anybody that Columbus came across while exploring became subjects of the crown, and so he was presenting subjects of the crown to her as enslaved people, so he was, in her mind, enslaving Spaniards.
And he was an idiot to not know that.
Yeah, right, for real. Um, but it did also, of course, set off much more slave trading. And uh, they, of course, tried to convert indigenous people to come in with Christianity, which they felt justified their actions and enslavement and genocide and all of this other stuff. According to the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, up to 90% of indigenous peoples died due to measles, smallpox, influenza, and stuff that came in from outsiders, from Europeans. And,
Yeah.
you know, when all of these communities were decimated, then there was this land grab, of course, and the colonization was happening. One thing that I did not know, this is something that I didn't know about Christopher Columbus, maybe you did, but that my friend says she is teaching in her third grade curriculum, was that he became governor of what is now known as the Dominican Republic
Mhm.
and killed a whole bunch of people and was just horrible there. And uh, the Spanish court received so many complaints of administrative misconduct that they sent Admiral Don Francisco de Bobadilla to
Yeah.
investigate, which led to Columbus's arrest and imprisonment in
Really?
San Domingo Island of Hispaniola. And he was sent to Spain to stand trial. He was acquitted, but he never returned. And there is a $2 stamp that depicts for a US stamp that depicts Columbus in chains that was issued in the 1893 as
Wow.
part of a Columbian series. So yeah, I have a picture of it. Uh, it's really really fascinating. Um, so that's some Columbus myths and whatever. So let's get to Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is built on this idea that Columbus came and founded, and there might have been some war, but then everybody was struggling, and so we just came together with the indigenous peoples and had this feast and supported each other, goodwill towards men, right?
Yeah, that's what I was taught third
Yeah,
and fourth grade.
same. So if a particular Native American or indigenous tribe was mentioned in this falsity, people focus on the Wampanoags and them and the quote unquote pilgrims who didn't even call themselves pilgrims, but they were the colonists, shared this meal. There are a couple of different stories associated with this uh, origin story of Thanksgiving. One is in the summer of 1637, armed Puritans attacked the Pequot village, which is around what is now known as Mystic, Connecticut, and
Mm,
massacred 500 native indigenous men, women, and children. And then they
mm,
burned the village. And this marked the first defeat of the Pequot people in what became a 3-year long war.
mm,
And John Winthrop, who was a governor, I think, had a journal, and he wrote in June 15th of that year, 1637, quote, "There was a day of thanksgiving kept in all the churches for the victory obtained against the Pequots and for other mercies." So that is why some people cite this particular massacre and a celebration of this massacre as being actually what the first Thanksgiving was.
really?
Yeah. Um, but that wasn't true either
Okay.
because uh, there were lots of such days declared after more victories against the Pequots. Um, and then, but that doesn't even explain it because um, churches frequently had days of Thanksgiving, which were a tradition to celebrate gifts from God.
Mm,
And there were hundreds and thousands of these days that churches held, and some of them were after military victories,
mm,
but they were Thanksgivings were days of prayer and fasting. So not feasting,
not feasting.
but fasting.
Oh,
So, there's also so in terms of other potential contributors to the origin myth of Thanksgiving, there was a Wampanoag chief called Usamaquin who led who kind of politically decided to have a truce or an agreement with the colonizers, with the English, to fend off a rival tribe called
mhm,
the Narragansetts to
okay.
maintain his authority in the area.
Okay.
Um, and of course, they made this agreement because it was mutually beneficial to uh, both sides. But later, the colonies and the colonizers and the Puritans and all of them, decimated the Wampanoag as well.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a long lasting, fruitful relationship. So you may be asking yourself, well, why the fuck are we celebrating this random Thursday in November?
Yeah, I am asking myself that. Because I get lost in the European settlers went all over the place.
Yeah.
They seem to have a pattern of the same thing they did. They went to capture people, they enslaved them. They went to Africa, they captured people, they enslaved them.
Mhm, mhm,
They robbed, they stole,
mhm.
they pillaged. And they did the same thing everywhere because I think because there was such an abundance
Yeah.
in America, or what was going to be known as the Americas, because of the methods of planting
Mhm,
by the indigenous, the respect that indigenous people have for the land, have for the buffaloes, have for the circle of life,
mhm, mhm,
as well as in Africa.
mhm, mhm.
Abundance of resources in Africa. And in Europe, there was no resources at
Right.
all. So these people were coming from a place of lack
Mhm.
and life, and they didn't know because they had been warring with each other and killing each other
Yeah.
over the little bit that they would have, which is what your Game of Thrones is all about, and all these medieval types
Yeah.
of movies are about. And then they go to these places that are so enriched
Yeah.
with resources, they don't know anything else to do but to go and destroy.
Yeah. And you know what? I never thought about this before, but yes, there were definitely conflicts between indigenous communities and tribes. There were wars, all this other stuff. But because of the level of resources, it wasn't a constant battle for basic scarcity, right?
Correct.
And so because that was happening over in Europe, those Europeans had advanced their tools of war and conquest so that when they
Mhm.
did come over, they overpowered.
Yeah, yeah, of
Oh,
course. I mean, who knows?
yeah,
I'd love to know when gunpowder was introduced to Europeans,
yeah,
the
or the
Chinese.
Chinese, yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, like you're right.
yeah,
You know, um, innovation comes out of
yeah,
necessity.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you're always at war,
Yeah.
then you're going to be innovating new weapons to try to kill the person next to you.
I
And if
mean,
you
we
don't,
only have to look at our current wars where people don't
all
care.
you really need to do is go out on the range and kill buffaloes.
Right.
Then maybe your weaponry is made specifically for killing buffaloes from long range, like a bow and arrow.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and modern warfare looks nothing like, I mean, there is no more hand-to-hand combat pretty much, you know?
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's
it's all
where
technology.
the horses come from. Cannons. What were those big things that they would sling
Oh, yeah.
fire? I forget that they have a
Oh, dang it.
try. It's a oh man, I
It'll
can't think of
come
the
to
name.
us, it'll come to us.
Um, but yeah, that makes a
Catapult.
lot of sense. Catapult. There you go. But there's another one that has like a counterweight. It is a catapult. There's another word for it, a specific type of
Yeah,
catapult. Um, yeah, that's really interesting.
yeah. Okay, so how did
That's
we
like
get to our current Thanksgiving was, um, President Abraham Lincoln.
oh,
Yeah, so,
good old Honest Abe.
oh, honest Abe. So after the victory of the Union over the Confederacy, say it again for those in the back, the victory of the Union over the Confederacy. It has
Are we
been
still fighting?
called.
I'm pretty sure we're still fighting that war. I'm
Oh
not sure.
God, it's ridiculous. Um, he issued a Thanksgiving proclamation that said, I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of Thanksgiving.
No.
So that's I mean, like, blew my mind. I was like, oh, wait, so Thanksgiving is actually a celebration of the end of the American Civil War, which makes me
Really?
feel less shitty for celebrating.
Yeah. What? That's just so funny.
Isn't that so bizarre? So there's also another player in this story, and there's a woman whose name was Sarah Josepha Hale. She is renowned for penning the nursery rhyme "Mary Had a Little Lamb,"
Okay.
and she led a letter writing campaign to members of Congress and other government officials for a holiday like Thanksgiving. Um, that would persist, and she wrote, quote, it now needs national recognition and authoritative fixation only to become permanently an American custom and institution. And so while she was promoting this continuance of Thanksgiving, she was also pushing the narrative of a pleasant meeting of natives and the English, because uh, Virginia, which was, where she wanted to focus on a lot of this Thanksgiving origin story, was officially a part of the South. So wouldn't naturally be aligned with Lincoln's sort of vision of the Thanksgiving holiday.
I'm listening to
I know you are. Um,
lose power.
oh,
No, no, Chargers against
no problem. But so, it's a weird thing that happened that now, I mean, and I say, like, and I've been thinking about this a lot since I've uncovered this history. Um,
that. That that
isn't that bonkers? Like, and I'm like, "Oh, I feel less guilty because it wasn't," but then I'm like, "No, actually, I should feel guilty because really we are still celebrating colonization because that's the myth that we've been sold."
but that's the myth that they leaned into to make up a story instead of just really like
Yep.
celebrating the actual reality of
Yeah.
something that's easily celebrated like that.
Yeah.
That is it's almost like they didn't want us to be together
Well, and you
because
know what's weird? And I'm just thinking about this now. We have July 4th, which is Independence Day,
Mhm.
independence from Britain. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and just not forgetting all my national holidays, but we don't have a national holiday celebrating the end of the Civil War.
no, well, no, we don't. But what we do have is Juneteenth now.
Is what?
Juneteenth.
Yes, Juneteenth.
And to be honest, Juneteenth could be considered that, even though it was 2 years
Yeah,
after the war ended. But you know,
yeah,
um, obviously, that's what freed the last remaining slaves, or that's when they were notified.
right. And but yes, and it's also more recently widely recognized. Whereas, we've had this narrative of Thanksgiving for forever. And so even like before people were widely aware of what Juneteenth was, we still didn't have a holiday celebrating
No, and you know why?
because
It just dawned on me why. Because they never stopped fighting.
no,
It's a lost cause. It's a lost cause, and I think this goes back to the Great Compromise when they pulled the federal troops out of the South and they allowed the Confederates. They basically gave all the Confederates what they wanted. So at the end of the day, the Confederates really
yeah.
won in that moment. And instead of celebrating the end of something where they really lost,
Mhm, mhm,
they just
mhm.
kept it going. The Daughters of Confederacy
Yep,
basically just kept, and it was a bloodless. Well, I can't say it was bloodless, but it wasn't an actual war
right.
where it was almost like the United States came together just to exclude the indigenous
Mhm, mhm,
former slaves,
mhm.
and they never wanted to recognize the fact that they had fought a war that ended up with the slaves, because really the war was not to end slavery; it was to end the separation of
Yeah,
the Union and the Confederacy. Um, a byproduct of that, because Abraham Lincoln realized that he would not be able to win the war unless
yeah,
he gave former slaves, weapons to defend.
right.
Because, as they say, Abraham Lincoln was no friend to the slaves,
Mm-mm,
not care about slaves,
mm-mm,
whole another myth.
right.
And it goes to show you how diabolical
Mhm.
this country is, and how it rearranges reality.
Yeah, rewrites history.
I mean, and it's over, and now we're seeing it play out real time in front of us.
Mhm.
We're all able to, and I don't think it's going to work the way that they think it is, because information is so readily
Right,
available to every single body, and now you're starting to see all these different types of people who are popping up, like
right,
ourselves,
right.
like us, who are popping up saying, no, we're going to give you the unfiltered truth
Yep.
on what this country has been doing so that we can right the ship.
Mhm.
Because the founding documents, they are great in their words when they're applied to everybody.
Exactly,
If they're not applied to everybody, then they are nothing but empty rhetoric.
exactly.
And it's weird how people who worship the flag and the Constitution and all of these types of things don't understand that
Yeah.
it's nothing if it's not applied to everyone.
Nope.
No one is free until everyone is free.
And no,
Um,
and not everyone is free.
and not everyone is free.
No matter
Um,
what you say, "I'm proud of our American freedom," it's not there
no,
yet.
it's not. It's difficult to. And right now, I think we're in a kind of a culmination of where people are really understanding. Like, you got people out here saying January 6th didn't happen, and I'm like, I know for a fact that happened. I watched it real time.
For real, everybody did.
Like, everybody watched it real time. Like, what are you talking about?
The people who
Um,
did it don't deny it.
I mean, but it's funny because I've had people tell me it was not real.
Well, it's
I
like
think,
it's like, what's his ass and Sandy Hook?
yeah, yeah, and he's still trying to
Glenn
find out.
Beck.
No, not Glenn Beck. Not Glenn. He's another horrible one. It was
Rick
I can see his name. Fat
Alex Jones.
Alex
What a piece
Fat
of
Ass
shit
Jones.
that guy is.
What I mean, what a horror! But even when that happened, I remember a buddy of mine that I worked with was a good guy, just not as informed. He's like, no, I think it's a false flag. And I'm like, you think that they made up killing a bunch of to take your guns away?
Yeah.
And it's weird because those lies, they repeat themselves year after year after year. And the conspiracy of what they say is going to happen never actually takes place.
Right.
You know, we were supposed to have lost our guns years ago.
Yeah.
Not one time has anybody lost any guns
Mm-mm.
because of the president of the United States.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's crazy that we don't lean into the reality. Like you learn from the mistakes you make in history,
Yeah. Exactly.
unless you just base everything on white supremacy.
Exactly. And, and I think I was gonna do both of these topics in one, but I think that it's too much for one episode. But I also want to talk about the residential boarding schools
Okay.
that were government funded, where they kidnapped indigenous children and forced them
Oh, and
into
force them to
these,
speak English.
well, cut their hair, force them to
They
speak
did this
English.
for years.
Oh,
They did up into the 1900s.
through the 1900s.
I mean, through the
I
19,
mean,
yeah,
like, it's through the 20th century
yeah,
to into the 20th century, sort of.
yeah. It's amazing how like the expansion westward when all these lots of and they were in Trail of Tears
Mhm, mhm.
driving all these people off their land. The horrible things that were done to them. Have you ever seen um, American Medieval?
No.
You need to watch it. It's a four-part movie. It's about the war between the U.S. expanding westward, the Mormons of Utah, and how Utah became Utah, and how it's
Oh,
still
interesting.
because the Mormons fought against the U.S. and won.
Yeah,
They still exist in Utah, and the Native Americans. So there's this triad
yeah,
of wars that are going on, and the natives are killing the Mormons are killing the soldiers, and I mean, it's really good. It's I think it's on Netflix.
oh, cool,
Um,
okay, I'll look at.
if you
Yeah,
ever, I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
yeah,
It was such an interesting history because I had never heard any of these
yeah, I
stories.
haven't either.
I always wondered why, because I spent like 6 weeks when I became a loan officer. The company I was working for, they actually would send you to their headquarters, which was it was Academy Mortgage, and it was in Salt Lake City.
Mhm, mhm.
So I spent 6 weeks out there, and everybody in the company was Mormon. They were romantic
Yeah,
underpants.
yeah,
It was just, they like when you went to a restaurant like Outback, all the liquor was in the back. It was behind what they call the iron curtain, so they didn't have a bar area. You
oh,
could order a drink,
yeah,
but an Outback, every Outback you go to was exactly the same.
right, right.
This Outback did not have a bar behind that U shape. You could sit there and eat, but they would have to make the cocktail in the kitchen and bring it out
Sure.
to you. So there's no like
Yeah,
it was just but it's really weird because Salt Lake City is this bastion of blue. Like Salt Lake City at the time had a transgender um, mayor.
right.
However, like Utah in general is so super white. Like I've never been somewhere as white as Utah. As an adult, I think my family we went there to go skiing when I was a kid.
Yeah,
You up in the mountains and at the resorts, where they see the culture. But being on the ground level, staying at an extended stay, you see the ground culture and going out to eat in the suburbs, you see, like I remember I walked into, I had a leather jacket and it was kind of like the lining was ripped and I had all this time there. Like I was, because there was nothing
yeah,
to do. And there was like 10 people in my class, I think. And we all hung out and stuff, but there was still, you're in Utah, there's not a lot to do
right.
unless you go skiing all the time. And so I decided that I was going to repair this lining. So I go to a fabric shop, and in this fabric shop, it's also a frame shop, and they have all these pictures, and it was like white Jesus, and all these
Right.
pictures of white Jesus with a little black boy sitting on his lap.
What?
It was
Weird.
so odd. And when you learn, like I went to the largest temple they have there,
Yeah,
Like they had just opened it. Like you had to wear booties, and we walked around. One of our classmates was Mormon. He's a really nice guy. Went to BYU, um, and just like they still call people colored. Um, like it was an eye opening
Yeah.
experience. But yeah, it's due to the Western expansion and the war that what's his name? What's Brigham Young? The war
Yeah.
that Brigham Young brought
Yeah.
to the federal
Yeah.
government.
I don't know anything about that. That's fascinating.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody knows by more like Utah is
Yeah.
the Mormon state.
Yeah.
It's because we fought a war and America lost.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show, like, I mean, I had never really thought to research
Let me
why
tell you,
Utah
what's
is
American
Utah.
review, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. All right.
It's really interesting. I was like, wow, I never knew any of this
Yeah.
history. It's crazy.
So I think we need to start a campaign, perhaps
Okay.
in the same way that old Mary Had a Little Lamb did, a letter writing campaign to
Okay.
change Thanksgiving into a celebration of the end of the Civil War and the Union victory.
Absolutely. That would make way more sense. I mean, people would actually appreciate that.
I agree. And so I plan on telling as many people as possible so that at Thanksgiving, they can then tell people as possible and start a new tradition of celebrating the end of the Civil War
Yeah,
instead of
that is
bullshit narrative that we did good.
how easy would that be to celebrate?
People would love it.
And why would people just make up? It's almost like they had a guilty conscience. They're like, oh, I know what we did to these folks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say this is what happened.
It's something to do with, I mean, this woman, Sarah Josephia Hale, she wanted to have this continuous holiday, um, but she didn't want it to be the celebration of the end of the Civil War. And so she wanted it to be a reflection uh, of this pleasant meeting of natives and the English. And I don't,
When that wasn't an actual thing.
yeah, I know.
Not
So,
anywhere on our planet was there a happy meeting of conquistadors, conquerors, whoever,
yeah,
and indigenous people
yeah.
from South America to North America to the Caribbean to Africa.
I don't, yeah,
Only
I'm
they
trying to,
didn't go Far East.
it's,
They didn't. I mean, they tried, but
yeah, yeah. Um, hold on. Let me do a little bit of real quick. Uh, so her advocacy for this holiday lasted for 17 years. And she kind of, like I said, wrote to all these people. And um, sh I can't I can't figure out why she decided to do. It says she wrote a letter to Lincoln and convinced him to support legislation establishing a national holiday of Thanksgiving. It was considered a unifying day after the stress of the Civil War. Before Thanksgiving's addition, the only national holidays celebrated by the US were Washington's birthday and Independence Day. But it doesn't say anything about why she opposed the narrative of it being the end of the Civil War. I don't know. Regardless, new traditions, new celebration,
I agree.
and
Yeah, history during the Civil War, President Abraham. So it wasn't at the end of Civil War; it was at the beginning. So in 1863, during the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed a national Thanksgiving Day to be celebrated on the last Thursday in November as a way to promote unity. So maybe he was using Thanksgiving to help to unify the country at the like he probably was just grasping at straws,
yeah,
trying to come up with some sort of ad campaign that got out there to help create unity. Because if it was in 1863, I mean, the war didn't end until 1865. They also says colonial America during the 17th and 18th century, various colonies and later states held days of Thanksgiving to mark military victories, survival through hardship, or plentiful harvests. These were often solemn observances with prayer and reflection rather than feasts. And a lot of times fasting goes along with prayer and reflection
Yeah.
and football and MSG
uh,
and diabetes.
yes. Okay. I am also seeing that in 1939, a lot of store owners pressured Roosevelt to make Thanksgiving the third Thursday in November so that there would be more shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Capitalism
Yep.
always pops this ugly head up. It always pops this ugly head. We gotta make that money.
So that's where we get it on this timing. So there's, even with my research, there's still confusion. But
Well, I think it's because when we base our truth on a lie,
yeah,
it's obviously difficult to find the reality of what's going on.
yeah,
You can never, and that's why people don't learn from things, because you can't ever learn from a lie. You only learn from the truth.
right.
And to sit there and say that, the natives, they were wonderful people and they just welcomed the pilgrims in and they had a feast and then America became America. That is not how they went. They were horrible
Yeah.
to natives.
Yeah.
They called them savages. When you start to call them savages, you take their humanity away and then it makes them. I heard someone say this on the podcast the other day and they were talking about how diabolical are you to where you go out and you have a campaign to kill all of the buffaloes in a region, to starve people.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that in itself, like I still understand. I mean,
I don't understand. I mean, it really is. I know I say this almost every single episode, but it really is a process of convincing yourself people aren't people, not as people as you are.
certain types of people, correct. But it also it's weird because then you have your Pocahontas story.
Yeah.
Where they and that goes bring that forward, because if you want to talk about Pocahontas, then we could talk about Sally Hemings.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
And then we can go up here to Epstein.
Yep.
Epstein Island.
Yep.
And there's your through line.
Yep.
Like it doesn't end.
Nope.
And it's because they always lie about the reality of it, and they make these grand stories about how Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings had an affair. Well, no, that's called rape. That's rape.
Yeah.
She was an enslaved person, had zero freedom or autonomy at all.
Yes.
That's rape.
Yeah.
Just like Pocahontas was a young girl, and what was his name?
John Smith.
John Smith. That's rape.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kidnapping.
Absolutely.
Like that's what that is.
And then now you have fucking Megyn Kelly.
Oh well, it's not like they were
not a 5-year-old.
Old.
Fuck.
Yeah, and it's those little things that people are like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's just one person saying. But no, that's how it starts. That's how that thread starts. And it's how it's larger and larger and larger. And it's so scary that people like that exist that think, this is how you should live your life by lying about the truth. It's crazy.
Yeah, and here we are.
And here we are. Here we are today, waiting on the Epstein files to be released because you have a cohort of rich and powerful white men who for ages have thought that women, girls are their property. They're allowed to do what they want. And it's a cabal of lies.
Yep. It is. I bet you when we started this episode, I bet you did not think that Thanksgiving related to the Epstein files, but here we go.
Look how we do it. You see how we do it? Now we know better.
We do it. It's all connected.
Now we know better. Now we know more. We do better. Look at that.
Yeah.
Now that was an amazing
Yeah.
we just
We
took.
did. We took it. We went there,
And
and
it's a solid tie
yeah,
to what's going on today.
yeah. And I would like to apologize to you and to our audience for misstating earlier that the holiday was created at the end of the Civil War instead of
That's
during the
okay.
war.
That's what this process is
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. Both you and I, like, I think we're really getting in the zone together
Yeah.
because we're able to bounce off of each other, and it's becoming more natural.
Yeah.
Um, um, and that's when it starts to really get fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I know that it's hard for our listeners to realize that I am a fallible human.
yeah, I mean the doctor. She is a doctor though.
Sorry, y'all.
We expect
Yeah.
perfection
Yeah. I know. I
based
do
on
too.
your pedigree.
I do too.
So we're going to give you a pass on that one today.
Thank you.
That's why I always have ChatGPT up.
Yeah, that's right.
It goes quick.
Uh,
It goes knowledge.
well,
Now
delightful
that
as
was
usual,
that's
empowering and sad as usual.
you said what?
Empowering and sad as usual.
Yeah, but I also think that when you inform people, people are better when
Yeah.
you inform.
Agreed.
Because what this can spawn is someone may come and go find out more
Yeah.
and inform other people.
Yeah.
It's a seed, right? Um, there was actually yeah, never mind. I was going somewhere else.
Yeah. No, we don't have time.
But yeah, no, this was a great, and the way that we got there
Yeah.
from where we came from Thanksgiving to the Epstein files, chef's kiss right there. That was done. Like
That was
200 people
that was
do anything better than
yeah, that was good. I do
we
think
need
that
to
we
pat
did that.
ourselves.
We did that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did good on that.
Release the Epstein files, people.
Really, damn Epstein files.
All right. Well, like, subscribe, comment, email. Hey, Akil, do you know what our email address is?
It is hindsightlisten@gmail.com.
You did it.
Boom.
Boom, boom. Yeah. And with that, we're gonna go off on a high note of Akil knowing our email.
Hell yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, friends.
It's a pleasure as usual, Dr. Sarrett.
Yep.
And we will convene the next time.
Yep.
More information and more through lines from the past to the present.
Absolutely. We'll get there. Just follow us and we'll get to it. We're good.
Just follow us because you never know how we're going to get there.
We
We're
will.
going to take you on a journey. We might. It's going to be winding.
Yep.
And we don't know where we're going a lot of times ourselves.
Mm-mm.
It seems like we're getting there every single time.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of the journey.
All right. Appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you, and thank you, Hindsight audience, for listening, and we'll see you next time.